So for the past like 4 years, I've been doing the magical readathon by @book_roast, my girl G. And I started it when it was still Harry Potter, before she changed it to Aurelium. And honestly, it slays so much better now. She's doing an amazing job. But this was the first readathon that I'd ever done, and to this day, it's the only readathon I've ever done. None have ever invigorated me like the magical readathon. So basically, it's this university, this magical university that you go to, and you create your character and you choose your calling, so like your career. I am training to be an illusionist rogue. I know, pretty cool. I am training to be an illusionist rogue. So when you choose your calling, you get certain subjects that you have to study, and then in those subjects you get a prompt for a book, and then reading that book is your study. And for a homeschool girly, I get to pretend like I'm at school when I'm not. I'm just reading books that I want to read. So we're doing it again this year. I think I completed the one in September, in April maybe, because it's like a two-parter. So at the beginning of the year we do our like pre-exams, which is the way I think of it. We do our pre-exams at the beginning of the year, and then in August or September we do our proper full exams, because it's harder in September than it is at the beginning of the year. So I'm not going to go right into how it works, because that's not what this is about. If you want to participate, I will link it. I think you should. It's very fun, extremely customizable. You can do as much or as little as you want. I chose a calling that didn't have a lot of books, because I know that I will not read it when it comes to September. So we have the same prompts that we do at the beginning of the year. I think it's the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. So we're doing the autumn equinox now. So at the beginning, in the spring equinox, I'm sorry if this is confusing. In the spring equinox, you do just one book per subject. But now in the autumn equinox, sometimes you get more books per subject. So for example, one of my classes is Art of Illusion, because I'm an illusionist rogue. So I have to read 3 books for that subject. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I have to get a D for distinguished, which means I have to read 3 books to get that. Anyway, so this is a little TBR. I have changed it a couple times since I first sat down when the announcement video was released, because I just can't decide. I am inherently a mood reader, and that's normally why I don't do readathons, because who are you to tell me what I have to read when I have to read it? But anyway, so some of these I have like a couple of different ideas for, but they still fit the prompts. I try and always make them fit the prompts. But they've, like Book Roast G has introduced a very slay new concept, where each time you get like points. So every time you finish something you get points. If you do the book club you get points, and you can spend those points to get scrolls for different things. So I have bought with my points a scroll that let me change the prompt for one of the books, because the prompt for one of them was fave author's debut book. I don't really have that many favorite authors, and the ones that I do, they're first books I've read and they suck, or they're super crazy long. And I'm not about reading long books during a readathon, because I will just lose steam, and I know that about myself. So we have to troubleshoot these things before they happen. So for this video, I'm going to be walking you through my TBR for my magical readathon journey. So as I said, I am studying to become an illusionist rogue, which means I need to do 3 different subjects, which is shapeshifting, psionics and divination, and Art of Illusion. So for psionics and divination and shapeshifting, I only need to read 2 books, so 1 book per subject. But for Art of Illusion I need to read 3, so 5 books altogether, plus a book club book, because you can join a I forget what they're called. I think they're called guilds maybe, but I'm in the Order of the Crescent, That's my like group name that I'm in, and for the month we are reading a book club book. So for September, as well as the other books, I can optionally read, I don't know if that's a word, I can choose to read the book club book as well, and I'll get some points for that, but I don't need to do that to pass the semester, or whatever you want to call it. So the first book I have for you is Evocation by S.T. Gibson, which I am reading for the Order of the Crescent book club, which is completely optional. You do not have to read this book for to pass the semester, but I'm going to, because I like reading and I like feeling like an overachiever. I wish I could speak like an overachiever, good God. But it's about a grown man who, as a teenager, he was a psychic for his occultist father, and it's set just after his father passes away, and he's like this hotshot attorney now. I think that's what I gathered from it. And it says, the devil has come to collect on an ancestral deal. I've got the blurb up in front of me because all of these will be library books. But yeah, and then he has to reach out to his ex-boyfriend, and I assume try and not have his soul collected by the devil. I would have to assume, but from this it says that his ex-boyfriend and him, they're secret society rivals. So I'm wondering if it's like a lovers to enemies to lovers again. I don't know, but I'm excited for it. Very I'm getting urban fantasy from it, which I love an urban fantasy now. I never used to, but it's sneaking up on me. I enjoy it now. So the next book we have is called This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno, maybe. I'm reading it for psionics and divination because the prompt, so this was the one that I swapped over. So this prompt was originally favorite author's debut book. No thank you, I don't want to do that. So I swapped it to the prompt standalone, which, what an excellently easy prompt. Any book that I want to read is usually a standalone. So I actually found this one because I watched a video by, I think their username on YouTube is Fern's Shelf, and I don't know, the way they talked about it, I was like, I gotta get this book in my hands right now. So I'm very excited about it. It's a horror, which again, I love a horror. My original, this is a side note, my original list of books was very bland for this readathon, and I was getting kind of bored thinking about reading them before I'd even read them, so I had to overhaul it all, and now there's only like, I don't actually think any of the books are the same as when I started. But yes, I'm very, very excited for this one. It's about a man and a wife who buy like an Alexa. I don't think it's called an Alexa, but that's what it is, the vibe of it, and it's like haunted. I think it's a haunted Alexa, and things keep happening around their house because of the Alexa, like music plays and things, like packages get ordered, and these things keep happening, and then the wife dies, and the man is like, there's no way I'm going to deal with this, so he moves out into a secluded cabin in Colorado. And I think that once he's there, he takes the Alexa thing with him, and it just keeps like nattering at him. That's what I got from the description of the book, but that could be completely wrong. But regardless, it looks very good. It sounds very good. I'm just a girl. I do worry about technology and it taking over. That's why I'm so nice to it all the time. So yeah, this will be fun. There are some books, like I read, I think it was Dark Matter, I can't remember who wrote it, but that book was like about alternate selves and how they interact with each other, and that kind of, I was thinking about that for a long time. So I'm hoping that this is going to be kind of like that again. But yes, I'm very excited for this one. I'm excited for most of them, but that one's probably up there. Like, that's probably the top one I'm ready to read. Next one is King of Scars, which I hired from the library last month and forgot about because, as I said in that last video, I'm not very good at reading physical books anymore since I got my Kindle, because it's just so easy to read on a Kindle, and you can't read in the dark with a physical book. But it is beautiful. Look at that. So for this one, the prompt, it was for shapeshifting, and the prompt was jewelry on the cover, which I am counting as this little crown just there as jewelry, because, you know, I don't know if anyone else would count crowns as jewelry, but I think they are. Don't try and convince me otherwise. Crown is jewelry. I'm not putting a crown on and saying this is not jewelry. Okay, anyway, so I'm pretty sure I've read all of Leigh Bardugo's books that are in the Grishaverse, like the I can never remember what the series is called, like Ruin and Rising, Shadow and Bone. Maybe it's just Grishaverse trilogy. Anyway, I've read those 3, and I've read the Six of Crows duology. Just a phenomenal book, the Six of Crows. I didn't love the Grishaverse, or whatever it's called, as much as I loved Six of Crows, which I think is the normal thing that people feel about that. And I'm right there with them. But this one is about Nikolai Lantsov, who is one of the characters in the Grishaverse, and he was one of my favorite characters, which is crazy that I haven't read this book yet because I enjoyed that one so much. So Nikolai Lantsov is like, I think he's a prince or a king maybe, and he's hiding from his country, I believe. I've read the first like few pages maybe a year or 2 ago, and I wasn't vibing with it then, but hopefully this time I'll click with it. But he is on a boat in the beginning, and I love a book set on a boat. I love a book set on a boat, especially when that boat is in waters with scary creatures. It's just amazing. But anyway, Nikolai Lantsov, and 2 other characters from the original Grishaverse are all in this together. So after reading the blurb again, I'm thinking that maybe he's just undercover as a pirate captain or something, and he's trying to find the information that will help save his country. A bit worried that I'll start it and then not vibe with it again, but I've just got to persevere. I've got to learn to get past the 2nd chapter before I go, I'll just read that another time. But yes, I do love it. Oh, and this cover is just stunning. This would look so good in a hardcover, but I'm not a hardcover girly. I'm a library girly. So the next book is Baby Teeth by Meg Grian. This I'm reading for my O level in Art of Illusion, and this prompt was go to a random emoji generator and generate an emoji and pick a book based on the emoji. I got a sweet potato. Which, fine, I love a sweet potato. For a book, I was just sort of at a loss. I was like, I really don't want to be reading books about farmers. I just read Bookshops and Bone Dust, and that's about as close as I'm going to get for now, unless I go crazy and read a mum book. So I'm thinking outside the box because I'm such a smarty pants, and I said, well, you can eat a sweet potato. You know what else you can eat? Human beings. I'm going to read a book about vampires, and so that is what I shall be doing. Baby Teeth by Meg Grian is a book in the written in poetry, in prose. I don't think it's in prose, I think it's just in poetry, about a little lesbian vampire who has to learn to not eat people. So she falls in love with this florist and they become lovers, and then she is also fighting with the urge to eat a human being, to drink a human person's blood and not succumb to her dark ways. I think it's a very short book, which great. Chuck one out of the cross one off the reading list straight away, which is what I like to see. I've also got a side book bingo that I've had for over the year, and one of them is read a book in a day. I haven't done that yet, so maybe I'll crack it out with this one. The second last book that I have to read is The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I loved They Both Die at the End. It made me sob quite a large amount, which I think I'm in need of like a good book cry. I haven't cried over a book in a while, and I think it's past time. So this one I'm reading for the qualified level in Art of Illusion, and the prompt was a prequel to a book. And originally for this I had The Kill Order by James Dashner, so the prequel to The Maze Runner, and I was like, yes, I love this. And then I picked it up and I started to read it, and I was like, I feel like I've just read this book, even though I did read it probably 7 or 8 years ago. I feel like I've just read it because I remember it so vividly, and it was just kind of like, wasn't spark in my fire, light in my flame, I don't know, floating my boat. It wasn't floating my boat. So I had a bit of a relook, and First to Die at the End came up, and I was like, oh, of course, because I actually bought the like nice copy, which I never buy nice copies of books because I just don't, and I've even annotated it, one of my first books I've ever annotated. But yes, so it's set in a world where there's this thing called the Death Cast, and everyone is signed up to it, and when you're signed up to it, you get a text message on the day that you're going to die, and it tells you you've got 24 hours left before you're going to die. It doesn't tell you how you're going to die, it doesn't tell you when you're going to die, it just says in the next 24 hours at some point, that's it for you. And there's this, I don't know if it's in The First to Die at the End, but in They Both Die at the End, there's this service where they sign up to where you can like find a buddy and talk to them on your last day on Earth. But I actually think The First to Die at the End, this is getting confusing, The First to Die at the End is set just after the Death Cast has been introduced, so people sign up to it and they can tell. And the two main characters, one is terminally ill, so he's like waiting to be told when his last day is going to be, so he signs up to this Death Cast. And then the other one lost his twin sister and signs up to the Death Cast to notify that when he's going to die. And then they meet each other, and then things happen from there. I'm very excited about this one. Adam Silvera has a very strong way of writing characters so that you fall in love with them. It's lovely. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to cry. Final book that I've got is for my final D in Illusion, and the prompt was the word memory in the title. So I chose The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. So it's a translated book, which I love a translated book as well. And it's about this island where the memory police are, and things disappear from people's memory. So it starts with like hats don't exist anymore, and then ribbons don't exist anymore, and then birds, and then it just keeps getting more and more until there's like nothing. So she's hiding this man who can't forget the disappearances that have been like allocated to the people of this island. So the memory police are enforcing the disappearances, and if you can't remember, you get like taken away. They don't know where, they don't know what happens to the people, but yeah, it sounds really exciting. I'm excited to see what like where it goes. But yeah, so that's my little really rambly, probably not very coherent magical readathon TBR. I'm very excited for this readathon. This is my first readathon on the channel, so I'm excited. Please let me know if you are participating in this readathon, or if there are any readathons that you love that I haven't heard of, which will probably be all of them, because as I said, this is the only one I know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.